it's the teamwork. You know, I say, you know, nobody goes out and hangs out a sheet metal and says, I'm gonna be my own TV station. You can't do it by yourself. It takes everybody. And so there are so many big stories that I remember, and probably the one that sticks most in my mind is the flood of '93. And we just all, it was everybody working full-time, all the time, every day, to get that story covered. And I know you'll all remember this story. We had a relatively new news director at the time. And after a few days of flood coverage, he was kind of like, oh, I'm a little tired of this flood story. Until someone said, let's take you up in the helicopter and show you what this flood means to this region. And then we really covered the story full bore and did some, I think, incredibly good work. And that's what feels good when you're part of that. And I was always just part of it. I wasn't the one standing out there in the mud usually, but I felt very honored to present the work of my coworkers who I knew would do excellent work.
I think it's a station of excellence, of legacy, of being able to be proud to say that, yes, I work for KSDK Channel 5. That sticks with you for a very long time.
I think that I met some of my best friends at Channel 5. A few people I knew already. I did know Jennifer and Art. I was at Channel 2, but I was partying at Channel 5. Some of my closest friends have come from Channel 5. And you really do, as we have said all evening, you've got each other's backs. You know what? Because if you don't, we're all going to fall.
Right.
So I appreciated that about the station very much.
There's so many stories, so many that I can't remember. My memory's so bad right now. But I will always cherish all of these friendships here and the former employees in the audience. And when I came here, I thought I knew it all. I was in my 30s, but I learned so much since I've been here in St. Louis from some amazingly talented, kind, and generous people. So that's what I take away tonight. And by the way, Ann Allred was an intern and showed me.
I was her intern, but she told me I couldn't talk about it.
Don't say anything. But no, and I knew I knew the kid had talent back then.
Well, I learned it all from you, Kevin.
Frank.
Well, 30 years, I mean, I've been lucky to have like the best seat in the house, whether it's the 2019 Blues or the 2011 Cardinals. Sometimes I think the best moment I ever had was before I even got here, was when I got to call my dad to tell him I'm coming home to work here. Yep, that was meant a lot to him, and he was yelling to my mom, Mary Grace, he got the job, he got the job. That's 5 or 6 seconds I'll never forget.
But I will say, I remember certain weather events, they stick out. You know, the flood of '93 obviously is the big one. Good Friday tornado, the countless snowstorms, you know, the tornadoes we've had in the last year. But going back to what everybody else said, you know, you work with such great people. When I was paired with Art and Jennifer, you know, they brought my standard of excellence up, and working with Cindy, it brings your standard of excellence up, and you've got to get to that great level.
You were
or
12.
strive. I know. You know, Jennifer thought I was her intern. You know, her intern this semester. You know, it's been a great 30 plus years. And I when I got here, and Georgia was the one I was on the phone with, making all the arrangements for flying in, and you're gonna do this, that, and the other. You know, I was thinking it was gonna be like any other thing in the TV business. Well, you're there for 3 years, and then you go to a different station. And St. Louis is so different, and this station is so different. And so I feel very blessed that I've been here so long.
When did we start calling you Cubby?
Probably day 2.
Because I thought you were 12?
Yes.
He still looks 12, doesn't he? Well, Art and I were always concerned about mental health. And I know it personally took me 10 years to convince the management to let me do a series on mental health because of the stigma. And we used to do these big events in shopping malls with brochures and a 5-part series. And so in 1990, I did one, and we couldn't do it in the mall because everybody would be too embarrassed to show up and get a brochure about mental health. Dr. Joella Rael is here. She was one of the first psychiatrists who helped us with this reporting. And over the years, it just became so important to Art and me. And I do remember personally, toward the end of my career, where I was starting to feel depressed, get up in the middle of the night, drive to a studio where I don't even see the people anymore because they're behind the curtains, and then go home. And then a viewer told me when I was at a speech, she said, you got me through my postpartum depression, getting up at 4 a.m. to feed the baby. And so then it was like, yes. And one thing that Art and I have talked about, maybe the silver lining of the pandemic is that the stigma around it, surrounding our mental health has decreased. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, because now many more people understand what it's like to be down or blue or depressed, because that's what COVID did to all of us. So if there's any silver lining, and there probably isn't, but maybe that's it. Yeah.
Well, and then a happy memory is how Art felt about dressing up your dogs. And he blames me for having viewers think he didn't like dogs. And he said, I do like dogs, I just don't like them in costume. Let's set the record straight.
I think about all of the left turns that my career has taken. I thought I was going to be a sportscaster my whole life. My plan was to, if I got lucky, maybe I'd get to broadcast at the network level, or maybe stay around Channel 5 long enough to be sports director. I'll never forget the first time I went to Busch Stadium 2 as a reporter. I didn't think it could get any better than that. I've been a Cardinal fan since 1964 when I was in 3rd grade. And then, I already told the story about how I switched to news and got one of the greatest broadcasting partners you could ever have. And we got to work together for 22 years on TV, and then we got the band back together on radio for a couple of years. So that was unexpected. And now to be able to serve KSDK and the St. Louis community as news director, when the announcement was first made, and it was the first black news director at any TV station in St. Louis, and that just means that a lot of other people didn't get the opportunity, but my boss gave me the opportunity, and now I get to serve the newsroom that took a chance on me in 1979, and hopefully, do something positive in St. Louis at a time when we need all the positivity we can muster.